Good afternoon. Good afternoon, people of Be Art. How are you? How are you? How are you defending from this hot weather? Here in Italy, we are literally melting down. And today I want to travel a little bit to the northern part of Europe. Who knows if I can get some fresh air? I don't know. I think so, because I would be in good company, not of Pongo, because Pongo is outside. He decided to literally burn outside, but I have here as a guest today my friend Stephanie Lester. Welcome, Stephanie. I'm so happy to have you here and really share this half an hour with you.
Delighted to be here, as always, my darling.
I brought these objects, my friends, because these are two of Stephanie's creations, but please don't tell my sons, because they believe that Santa Claus brought them.
Yes.
And in fact, this is Yoli is Daniele's favorite animal, and this is Charlie, and a cat that we had last year for a very short time, but this is in memory of Charlie. And as you can see from these objects, Stephanie Lester is a sculptor, but not an ordinary sculptor with marble and stone, because to sculpt her beautiful creations, she uses fibers. So please, Stephanie, I will, I ask you to introduce yourself and tell something about you.
Okay. So, as I say, I'm Stephanie Lester. I currently live in Stratford-upon-Avon in the UK, and you notice I've got to get this right, a little head of Shakespeare behind me, even just to elaborate that fact. So I'm a fibre sculptor. So I use what is called the needle felting technique, and in some parts of the world it's called the dry felting technique. So I use very little needles and fibres, and I've got some examples behind me, because I mainly create animals. And as Elisa has shown there was little Charlie in memory. Yeah, I quite often get asked to do little memories, so people can still connect with the memories that they have. Or, you know, I even do fantastical creatures, because I'm actually in the process of doing a phoenix. Well, I say in the process, it's in my head at the moment. It hasn't got any further than that.
Life
but hey,
happens, you know. Stephanie. You're not alone.
Exactly.
You're never alone. So life happens. But I see Pegasus behind you. So the horse, Pegasus.
Yes,
no?
Pegasus. Yes, absolutely. Yes, my Pegasus horse. So I consider myself as a full-time creative. And I kind of split myself. I've got what I call my Stephanie Lester art side. And then I've also got another side of me, which is my Toutique side. And Toutique is the name of my other business. And it's called Toutique because I come from a place in London called Tooting. So that's why it's called Toutique. But I think of my Stephanie Lester fibre artist as that's me, my art, creating what I want and teaching people that. And then my Toutique side is very much creating kits for other people to do, doing videos for other people to do. I create teddy bears, I repair rocking horses, things like that. So it's much more, I think, of doing things that other people want and ask me to do, or that I'm helping them with. And I think of the Stephanie Lester fibre artist as being more me and my creations, and where I get my own inspiration. So I kind of think of it as two halves, really, of myself. But I
think that there are two sides of the same coin, as we say in Italy, because on one hand you express yourself by creating your own, of course, sculptures, but on the other one you want people to be creative, and this is the main reason we are here. And I want you to really appreciate what Stephanie does, because her story doesn't begin for her being a creative full-time, of course, because she will tell us about, but at a certain time you can become a creative and help others to become a creative as well.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think that is the best part, once you've found your creative part. And it's one of those things where, for me, I've always been someone who's been quite creative in the sense that I love to make and create things. But it wasn't until 5 years ago that I found what I just describe as my thing, the thing that, oh my God, that's what I create. And that was when I found fibre sculpture, and I did that. But I mean, I've been an IT consultant and an accountant, and I did all those parts. I still was a creative, but I almost did the creative side at home. And it's only when you look back that you realize that they did cross over, because you were always thinking about one when you were doing the other. And when I was doing my creative side, it could have just been a piece of craft, you know, I might have been doing a mold or something like that. There's an element of you free your brain up when you're doing things like that. And then you're thinking out a problem that you've got at work, and suddenly the answer comes. And so they very much did cross over, even when they're supposedly these two opposites. But it wasn't until I got to a stage where I really didn't like what I was doing in the corporate world, and it was affecting me. It was affecting me how I felt, and I knew I had to stop and think about what I wanted to do. And that was when you find things at the right time, Elisa, don't you? I realized I needed to do something, and I needed to find something, and I just said, that's it, I'm stopping, I'm giving myself the space to find whatever it is. And it was being a fibre sculptor, and not just for me, but also so that I can share it, and as I say, get other people being creative as well. And it fulfills you in a different way. You know, you express yourself in one way and you're helping others in another.
It takes courage, after all, because not everyone is ready to jump into the unknown, of course, and make this quantum leap that you mentioned. But doing some little steps is all okay. And it's always important to start, and then you will see along the way what happens, as you said. Can you remember your first time making a sculpture or making art in general? Because I know that you think about yourself as the less creative of your family. You told me a lot of times that you were quite envy about your brothers and creating and painting and stuff, and you just sitting there and saying, okay, they are quite unusual, they are genius, and I don't know.
Absolutely. And it's funny, isn't it? I mean, they were older than me anyway, but you never take that into account when you're growing up, and two brothers, and both of them were very good at drawing and painting. And my eldest brother Andrew would go out and draw outside and come back, and Ian, my other brother, was much more, did illustrations, but they did fabulous things. And whenever I sort of picked up paints or anything, it just, for me, it just ended as a splodge, you know, there was nothing, and I was like, not really sure what that is. But the first time I remember, and it's kind of weird in a way, because it's quite very much on a craft level, I think, than an art level. But my aunt, one of my birthdays, gave me a little kit, and it was a very basic drawing with some glue and some glitter, but coloured glitter. And so you painted it by putting the glue on and putting the glitter wherever. And I just remember thinking, this is amazing. This, oh my God, you know. And of course, my poor mother's thinking, glitter, oh my God, because she very much liked a tidy house. And I just thinking that is amazing. And it probably took me a long time to connect that actually that was also being creative and being artistic. It was like that was just a kit that I was given, and there's no such thing as that's just a kit or that's just a this. It's all creative, it's all creation, and what we do with it. And it took me a long time to go from that, but I can absolutely, I mean, it's amazing, isn't it, that memory of that gift, of all the gifts you've been given through your life or you've done, I remember that one. And I remind my mother of it. My mother has no memory of it at all.
It's quite curious, because I remember my ice cream machine that never worked. So this is the difference between me and you. You remember an artistic. I remember the ice cream machine, which was broken.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Where do you take your inspiration from to create your animals?
So many different places, and I'm either, when I create my pieces, it's because I feel quite connected to animals, always have done, always loved animals. I mean, you and I have got cats and things, but always had animals around me. I was the child who at the end of the school term, when you had animals at school, and I used to fight, off the other kids so I could take the school pets home. And then I get home and say to mum, it's not my fault, nobody else wanted them, I just had to bring them home. And of course I'd have them all. And I couldn't get enough of animals. I loved them. I felt quite a connection. So when it came to, that was what first attracted me to the sculpting. I'd seen a sculpture of a fox and I thought, how fabulous is that? The realism. So I was always attracted to the realism, and that was what got me into, and its faces and the eyes, and that's the part that I spend an awful lot of time over. And because my process is very much getting to know the animal down to I study the skeleton and the anatomy and read about them. So I've got sort of several strings which kind of inspire me, and it depends where I am at that point in time, but it could be a plight of an animal. So for instance, if I can move the right way, the pangolin who's behind me, because they're the most endangered mammal at the moment. So that was something which inspired me to, it just means more people get to see an animal and say, what is that? And start talking. It just starts the conversation, and not professing to be some, brilliant person at saving creatures. I just do my bit of actually highlighting the plight, pointing people in the direction where they can find out more. And so that feels quite important. But by the same token, I always love fantastical creatures as well. So Pegasus and, the phoenix that I want to do, and the myths and everything which are around. I do love a good myth and legend, I have to say. So, and then of course you can put your own sparkle. You're absolutely out. Whilst I do put myself into my other pieces, nobody can say to you, well, a phoenix didn't look like that, because nobody knows, because it's all in your head anyway. So you can go however you want on that, which is there's some
add your own signature, I think, because you add the details are what really make your creations different from other artists' ones, no?
Yes, I mean it's the face and the eyes and all those little bits which I suppose we all have our thing when we look at an animal of what makes that animal to us. And it could be the claws, it could be the nose, it could be the eyes. So I think anybody who sculpts highlights that part, which is why I really love looking at other sculptors' work and seeing what they've highlighted. Could be the ears on the hair or something like that, but it's just it's really good to see what other people pull out. But I feel really connected to them, and as you know, sometimes it takes me a long time to do a piece, sometimes it doesn't. It's almost like I've just decided I need to spend a bit more time to get to know this animal before it's going to be complete. But that also makes it a bit of a problem when I do commissions, which I do, but I don't know how long they're going to take me, because someone will give you the pictures and they'll tell you the story. And I did a really beautiful Jack Russell, and I said to the family, I have no idea how long it's going to take me. And but they didn't mind, and it was in memory, and unfortunately they'd lost many photos and everything of him, so this would be their memory piece. But then when you finish it, you're completely happy with it, that it is. And I felt like I had this little Jack Russell called Milo on my desk, and I used to talk to him every day. And then you feel like you really get to know them, and then finally you say, my relationship is done with them, and they go on another adventure with somebody else. And that's kind of how I see it.
No, it's beautiful to listen how deep a connection can be between an artist and the creations. People don't really understand that artists can also become very attached to their creations. Not always in a positive way, because if you want to detach from them, I think that there is basically a problem if it happens for all the pieces that you create.
You have to have a lot of work around you, don't you?
And a couple of really it's not an ordinary thing. But yes, there is a connection, and when you give away one of your pieces, you just give away a part of you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's why sometimes pieces take me a bit longer, because it's like once I've finished, I'm ready to pass them over to somebody else. And so some pieces will just take longer because I'm just not ready.
Yeah, everything at its own pace. So
Yes,
why
absolutely.
why running?
Mhm.
How do you organize your days on the basis of your creative routine, I would say?
So it's funny, isn't it? There's many schools of thought that I know many artists, is it the artist's way where you must paint every day and get into routines? I'm not that person. I never have been a routine person. I don't work. I can do routine for a period of time, and then it no longer will give me joy, and it will actually be laborious for me. So that doesn't work for me. So I tend to work in blocks of inspiration, let's call it. So I'll suddenly think, right, yes, I really want to go and do that. And I do several pieces at once. I don't just concentrate on one piece. So I will do 3 or 4 pieces. And so I will have blocks of time where I spend practically all my time down in my studio. And I'll obviously come up and eat and answer the odd email and things like that. But basically all my time will be doing that. And then at other times, I won't do any. So, for instance, we're planning, well, we're arranging our move from here to Wales. So an awful lot of time is involved in that. Now, I don't think of it as, oh, that's taking me away from my art. I think of it as, well, that's my priority at the moment. So my priority at the moment is to move, and that's what I want to do. And I'm choosing to do that rather than my art. And then when I'm all settled, I mean, I do little pieces, but when I'm settled, I shall go back and once again start doing my, masses of art. And then I'll think, oh no, I need to do stuff, admin stuff. And so I'll spend a block of time doing that. And that just works for me because it's just the way my brain is. It's almost like I don't like being told what to do. And a routine is someone telling you what to do. And it's like, it doesn't work. The moment you say, that's what you need to do today, I don't want to do that now.
Of course, it's a classic. It's a classic for me too.
Yeah.
When you force me to do something, well, I really lose motivation sometimes, no?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
everything comes from choosing, as you
Yes.
say. Mm-mm-mm-mm.
Yes, my choice. That's what I'm doing. You feel like it's the naughty child in you, really, isn't it? Sort of coming out and saying, stamping their feet, won't do it.
Yeah, but I bet that you all, even moving and packing and unpacking, activates some creative mood, because it's the typical action that really detaches you from the logical part of things, and of the right brain, and the left brain, sorry, and you can really make your right brain go and go and go. Maybe you just have new ideas. So do you have some actions that help you to be creative, even if you don't make art, but you just have
Oh,
new ideas coming along?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, because there's various stages of my process which don't even involve me being down. So it could just be reading a book about it. And in fact, a friend bought me a book about about the phoenix, and I'm excitedly going through that at the moment, and all the ideas and writing notes, and that's actually a really thrilling part of that. Now, when it comes to me doing other types of creations, I mean, I sew, and as I say, I make teddy bears, I repair teddy bears, I've got rocking horses that we repair. So I always have things like that to do. So if someone's actually knocking on the door saying they need something, so I'm often, and they're little things that you can just do as opposed to me having to completely engage myself in it. But I always, every Christmas, I always get a new craft that I want to have a little play with, or just have a dabble with. And this year it was the broken china with the gold through it, the Japanese art
Wow.
of and you think just things like that, and you just think it's that helps add to your toolkit almost, because over the years when I've been this creative person, it always was a joke amongst all my friends, which they would come round and think, what are you trying today, Steph? Is it Chinese brush painting? Is it macrame? What are you doing today? There was always some little craft project in the corner that I was having a dabble with, and of course it was hilarious to all of them, but that was a part of my makeup, and that's also helped me so that when I come now to do I can actually I've still memories of doing all those things and thinking, oh, hang on a sec, when we used that way of creating something, oh, I might be able to do that. And I did some molding and modeling and things. And, you know, even with my needle felting, I still have to model claws and things like that to actually go on. So, you know, it all comes in handy.
Yes, yes, you're an explosion of creativity. Really.
I like that.
So, for those who haven't seen the previous episode, in each episode I ask my guests to bring with them a special object that can be related to their creative path, and that is particularly near to their art. So I'm very curious to see what you brought with you. I don't. Before recording, I said, "Don't show it to me."
Don't show me. So it was interesting actually, because I had to really think about this and think about is there one thing that I work with that I always bring out and everything. And there is no one tool or one thing, because the tools and things that you use in needle felting, most of them are very consumables, well, because there are needles which break and, you know, things like that. But for me, and especially this year, we are in the year of the tiger, and I was born in the year of the tiger. And in fact, this is the year of the water tiger. And I was, because it's my 60th birthday tomorrow. And so, yeah, you didn't know. So it's, for me, it's a very special year. And I started to do a tiger at the beginning of the year. And in fact, this is going to be one of those projects which probably won't be finished till the end of the year, because I don't know for sure, but I probably won't ever let this one go, because I feel like I'm pretty much doing a part of myself. But so this is my tiger so far.
Wow.
So let me see. And he's a Siberian tiger, and I've started putting the fur on here, and to say this is just where I've put marks so that I can actually add it all later. But he's actually going to be drinking out of a pool. So that's what he's doing. He's bending down and actually having a drink. But his Siberian tigers, their stripes are normally brown, but I've done his stripes a dark blue. So if you think that your screen's wrong at the moment, it's not. They are actually blue stripes, because he is a water tiger. And then I thought, as it was all happening, we had all the events with, you know, Russia and Ukraine. And I kind of think, isn't it interesting that this is a Siberian tiger in Ukrainian colours? So it's kind, you know, there's like those, oh, that's interesting, Steph, because that started happening before anything even happened. But he's very special to me, because I feel like I'm actually probably doing myself in a way, or parts of my personality. So
I think that you are painting yourself and sculpting yourself.
Yeah. I think so, and I think he will be staying with me for that reason.
I love the pose. I love the pose, because yes, she's maybe drinking, but she appears like she's ready to jump, and she's looking
always alert, just in case. Ready to go at any point. Absolutely. And in this case, the eyes aren't needle felted. They are actually glass eyes that I've hand painted. So the camera, sometimes I felt the eyes, and sometimes I use glass eyes. But to get that real stare, he's actually got his glass eyes, bless him. So yeah, there we go.
It's very impressive. Congratulations, really. I really don't know where to start from if you ask me to do like this. So really, I really admire your skills, and wow. Coming to the conclusion, which tips would you give to people if they want to stay creative, or at least try to think that it's possible to bring some joy and some fresh happiness into our lives, making art, not beautiful art at any cost, but simply creating. So believing that it's possible to to use our hands and our heads to give life to something.
Yes. Okay. So my 3 things. The first thing is, I think you need to find your thing. Now, that doesn't mean that you get angry that you haven't found your thing. And as I say, for me, it took me to the age of 55 to find my thing but the thing which you end up going, oh, that brings me huge joy. And you don't have to be brilliant at it. This is the point, you know, it isn't something that you're going to be a master at necessarily, but it's the thing that you do that you just go, oh yeah, and you look forward. And that's the thing, I think that's what the part that I enjoy when I'm teaching people, is when you know that person has found this to be their thing and you're just helping them to develop that a bit, so that you can almost, I mean, I always say I almost meditate when I'm doing, because I just enjoy it so much. I go into my own world as I'm doing, and as I'm sure you do, Elisa. And when you, and you just find that mood, and that helps you so much in your own mental being. It helps you also think through problems. That's what it does for me when I'm in that mode. And it could be, you know, it could be a problem about a family member. It could be a computational thing. It could be anything, but you almost free up your brain to think outside the box. And you think an idea has sprung into your head and go, oh, where did that come from? But it's not, it's because your brain is suddenly freed up. And my first thing is, you know, even if like me, it takes you half a lifetime to actually get there and find, I think, hunt, search. Don't just do one thing and go, yeah, being creative isn't for me. Do the next thing. It could be, I mean, lots of people do the colouring books. And I know I've got a friend of mine who's really got into it and the colours, and has really shocked herself at how creative she is in the colours that she's doing. So, you know, it can be that, or it can be where you're actually starting something from scratch, like a piece of clay. We have lots of places around here where you can go and do that in somebody else's studio and have a play. So, you know, anything. And so what that, to me, my first tip is go play, go find your thing. Yeah.
If you don't find your thing at the beginning, then it's a good motivation to go ahead.
Yes, just go looking, just move on, go to the next thing.
Yeah.
Try everything. That's what I did. It's great. And my second thing is, lots of people, they either get a block or they just say like they don't feel like they're creative. And I think that's because we all have this vision of what creative is. Perhaps we think being creative means we're brilliant at something, as opposed to, I'm just going to make some cakes today. That's actually incredibly creative. And I might even put a little, you know, hundreds and thousands on top and make it pretty, or I might not, I might put a can. But that's also being creative. So if you think I'm not very creative, just do something. It might be baking a cake. It might be going and getting a kit, like my glitter kit, which, you know, was my little opening into my world of, oh, so we can do things with glitter, and it's still, you know,
a needle felting kit. You can show some of them as the conclusion comes, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Just go find something, do something vaguely creative. And, you know, and I say this even for people who have found their thing and then think they're actually in a block. I don't think there is such a thing as a block. I just don't think your mind wants you to do that at this moment in time. And that doesn't mean it's a forever thing. And you might just need to go and loosen yourself up by doing something else and finding other, as I say, every new year I go, oh, I could get myself a new craft, see what that does, see if that opens up anything. And sometimes it's just that. But if you don't think it's a block, if you don't have this idea in your head of what being creative is, just being creative is just, I intentionally went and made something. And, you know, it could be dinner, it could be food, it could be anything, or it could be color and paints and that. I think we put too much pressure on what we think other people think we should be doing or is creative. So that's
also too many expectation on the results.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
Because we do expect to be, you know, perfect.
Picasso.
But being realistic, it won't happen.
And also, something that you don't think's perfect, somebody else does love.
Exactly. But the meaning is, let's detach from the judgment.
Yes. Yeah. Don't just, and do it for the joy it gives you to do it, rather than what the finished thing is. And suddenly you're able to do as many things as you want, because it just, you know, it doesn't matter. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There we go. So my last one, which I think is actually my most important one, is be selfish. Okay, now people use that word as if it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. And when you be selfish in this way, you go and demand your time and space to do your thing. And, you know, there's lots of people which actually will call you out for being selfish. And when they do, say, thank you for noticing that I'm looking after me, because that's what you're doing.
Exactly.
And it's just demand your space and time. It could be very small space. It could be a little space in the corner of a room. It doesn't have to be huge, but demand your space. It could be in the garden. It could be a seat in the garden. It could be something. But what everybody calls selfish, people think is a bad thing. It's a good thing. And you're basically looking after yourself. And that will help you be creative, full stop. Even if it's just creativity on your own life and what you're going to do and opening yourself up. So that's my big one.
Yes, this is the a basic pillar of my beliefs too, because you always think about others, but when are you going to think about yourself? And
Yes.
creativity is a good point to start loving us a little bit more.
And you have more time and love for others as well once you do that. Suddenly, you know, because you're looking after yourself, you suddenly are able to do more of those other things that you want to do.
Yes, because otherwise you would stay lying on the sofa every now and then you just waste your time, you know, looking at the point on the wall. And we just have to activate and, you know, get energy flowing inside and outside. It's a wheel. So let's spin the wheel and see what.
See where you fling off.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you made me think that Virginia Woolf used to say that every girl has to have her own space, her own room to make art.
Right.
And so I would like you to spend some words about the Bloom's Art Show, which is you know, oh, wow, I lost my words. Please talk about the Blooms.
Okay, yes. So Virginia Woolf and the Blooms, our little collection there is that obviously the Blooms, as we are, we're a collective of artists. Yeah, and there you go, collective of artists. And we call ourselves the Blooms after the Bloomsbury Group, which was a group of artists. They were writers and painters, which included Virginia Woolf. And they supported each other and they had a community spirit. And we have the same, but we're across the world. Elisa is in Italy and I'm in the UK, and we have Cindy in Australia and Mac in Scotland, and Sammy, Julie and Fiona, who are also in the UK. So we call ourselves the Magnificent Seven. Obviously. And we have associate artist with us as well, which is Steve from Wacky Laps. But we came together because we wanted to originally learn to sell our art online during COVID, but it's actually become much bigger than that. We met there and we started the group to support each other, to actually come together to sell our art online, because that's a great way of bringing internationally us all together in a show, and we do that. And in fact, we've got an event coming in September on YouTube, which no doubt you'll be telling everybody about in the group once we've actually got that all up. But the important thing is we're to do the creativity. And, you know, I love it that when we have our groups, meetings that sometimes, Elisa, you'll be chopping vegetables in the kitchen while we're chatting, and Fiona might be doing one of her paintings, and Sammy will be in the kitchen, you know, having just put a cake in the oven, and we're chatting about everything, and our lives go on, and you know, we're involved in each other's lives, and we're there to support each other. And we had a time where we didn't meet for a few weeks, and it felt really weird. And we had our first meeting and came back together, and it was just this like 5-hour meeting, because we needed to soak each other up again and actually get that, you know, inspiration and everything. And I do feel that. I feel the energy which comes from everybody within the group, and it's an amazing group.
My tip for today for our guests is that if you have a buddy you can share your passion with, everything is simple, because you can really support each other, and you really can be helpful, because sometimes we lose motivation and we don't see the point, but if we are together we are stronger. That's why you are here, basically. I think in the Be Art, it's not, I don't want you to stay here because you want to please me. You don't have to please me, because I will be creative in any way, and Stephanie will be creative in any way. If you understand how precious is your time and you want to use it wisely, well, art is a good starting point to rethink your life in a mindful way. And that is the point of staying here. Otherwise, there is no sense. I think I am quite brutal. I know I'm quite sincere, too sincere maybe, but I know I wouldn't like to stay in a group that doesn't give me anything. So I want people to get the best from staying here and listening to our interviews, not only to have a sound while chopping vegetables, as you say, but learning something from our experience. I made mistakes every day in this sense, so I could optimize my process more and more, but of course I'm here to just to teach and open your mind a little bit. That's it. Tell us where you can be found on social media and show whatever you want about your kids, because this is the other side. And I just want to point out before Stephanie starts that she has some courses available on her website that you can look at if you want to follow the needle felting sculpting practice, and you will find very detailed videos, because she's great in editing and filming, so I really can tell you that you won't be disappointed. Please do the rest.
So anyway, you can find me, I can find me on Facebook. I am Stephanie Lester Artist on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Stephanie Lester Artist. And obviously I'm on YouTube, and that's where all my videos are. And I've got a Stephanie Lester YouTube. And then, as I said, there's the other side of me, which is Toutique. Also, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as Toutique. Now, if you go to my website, which is stephanie-lester.co.uk, or the other one is toutique.co.uk, you can see access to all of my courses and videos and kits and everything that we've got for sale. But, you know, I'm here in the group as well. And that's, I mean, it's very important, as Elisa said, to actually take what you can from the group. But equally, anybody who's been on here talking to you, if there's something that you want to ask, you want to come, then contact me and say, what about this? How did you do that? You know, I'm experiencing that myself, and I didn't want to ask at the time, but, you know, how did you do it? Ask. That's what we're all here to help, and help each other. That's the whole point. And that, you know, it gives me huge joy when something I say and someone says, you know, I went and did that and it helped. Brilliant. That just, you couldn't give me more joy than that. So find me, follow me, or just see me in the group. This is where I am.
Thank you so much. We will add all the links in the comments, and you will find the same links on the YouTube videos, because after we stop, we will immediately upload this video on the YouTube channel of myself, and also Stephanie, I think, if she wants to share as well on her channel. Stephanie, it's been a great pleasure. And
It's been a pleasure too, Lisa. Thank you for inviting me.
I wish you a happy birthday, but I will tell you again and again tomorrow. So I have plenty of time to celebrate with you. And thanks for watching us. I'm not able to see the comments if there have been, but if not, hashtag replay for the replay and ask whatever you want. And we will be here to answer. And see you on the 4th of August for the next creative talk that will be with a coach. So we change totally environment and discover something else. Thank you so much, Stephanie, and thank you, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.